Hi, good morning. Amy Chapman, CPTV here. This is my first attempt at a video blog. Today, I want to talk about one of my projects that I just posted about on my website and on LinkedIn. And that is the finance training transformation project. This was so much fun for me. It was a big leap of faith. I left the central training organization in my company and I went to our site payments group to lead their training team. I worked at and what they do is they manage clinical trials for pharmaceutical companies. So our site payments group paid the investigators to participate in the trial. And so we had to enter budgets and make payments. And so when I got in there, there was a newly hired training team that was hired before I was hired. So that was interesting. These were people who just wanted to be trainers. They didn't necessarily have training experience, and I had to teach them a lot, and it was so much fun. But to get to the point of this project, the onboarding needed some help. Frankly, all the training materials needed some help. In my initial review of the materials, I came across a training manual for a finance system, a computer online system, and it was 104 pages long, PDF, and you just had to read it. And then there was a quiz, and the quiz was 14 questions, and it pulled from a pool of 40 questions. So you had to take that quiz at least 3 times to potentially see all the questions. There was no feedback given on the question. They were just, you would answer and then it would go on. And then at the end, it wouldn't tell you what was right or wrong or anything. Okay, so no feedback. And the questions were pretty hard. So a lot of people failed. Nobody passed it the first time. When I dug into it in the LMS, I saw that people were taking this quiz of times. There was one who had taken it 300 plus times. The hours spent on this quiz, astronomical. It was insane. And I feel certain that there were people just sharing the answers around after a while because you had to pass the quiz. And so immediately I took those out because there was also an instructor-led class on how to use this system. And it was really only for a small group. And so they were revising that. But I just took it out because it was assigned to everybody. And it was a huge waste of time and not beneficial and not teaching them how to use the system at all. And on top of that, there were many, many training materials that were out of date, repetitive, incorrect. They were all stored in folders. And if you didn't know what folder to go to, you couldn't find what you needed. My team and I consolidated all of the materials into one folder, locked it down, had owners for everything, review periods determined by those owners, and put it into a SharePoint tool that allowed people to search and find what they needed all in one place, single source of information. And that was really great. I think my favorite thing, though, was the onboarding changes. I hired a contractor to revise all of our onboarding training materials because they were just old, out of date. They were created by non-instructional designers. So they were not good. They were just training created by people who think they know what training is. I'll talk about that on another blog. But I talked with the rest of the leadership team, and it was down to resourcing. Resourcing was a huge problem. So they would hire 1 or 2 people at a time. They'd have to go through this whole series of classes. The trainers are teaching so much to a small amount of people. It wasn't great. And so through time, we figured out that we could hire people every 2 weeks. And then we figured out that let's just hire people and put them on the budget entry team only. And we'll teach them only the budget entry information that they need and knowledge and skills that they need for all the systems and whatever to do that. And then they would only do budget entry for some number of weeks or months or whatever it is. And so in doing budget entry, they're exposed to hundreds of different budgets. Now, you may not be familiar, but on a clinical trial, the standard budget is the same, but each site negotiates their own details and you can see all kinds of things. And so entering these budgets and practicing that gets the new hire exposure to all of the complexities of these budgets And then later, when they're ready to go on and move into a payment processing role, then we give them a little bit more training, refreshing some of the stuff that they've already learned, and then training them on how to actually do the steps for payment processing in the system. And it worked so much better. People were able to be billable to our client 4 weeks earlier than they had been. And this wasn't anything that I could have done on my own. It had to be a joint effort between all of the leadership in the site payments group and me. And I was so grateful that they were open to trying something and that they could see the benefit of doing it this way. I had a lot of people who didn't think it would work, a lot of people who just thought, no, they need all of the information up front. And it was fun to prove them wrong. So that's a little more context about this project that I did. It's probably the proudest project that I've done in my career. And it has inspired me to think of many, 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 many more ways to integrate learning, onboarding, how the run. Because really, my main message throughout all of my posts and blogs and all of the things is that your learning group is the key to your business success. Thanks. Follow, do whatever, all the things to describe. That's my first one. I'm sure they'll get better. But yeah, stay tuned for more on how your learning group is the key to your business success. Have a great day.